The Pittsburgh Steelers have fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada, a huge development on Tuesday morning right after their loss to the Browns. The Steelers had just scored only 10 points against the Browns, and it changes everything in the Steelers offense. You could see the frustration from Diontae Johnson, from the Steelers offense in general, Najee Harris not being able to hold things back. Something had to change. A lot of people were saying it, and Mike Tomlin, the Pittsburgh Steelers, make the decision, a statement being released. Matt Canada has been relieved of his duties as offensive coordinator. I appreciate Matt's hard work and dedication, and I wish him the best moving forward in his career. A simple statement there. This is before Mike Tomlin speaks on Tuesday, on his normal Tuesday presser at noon, which is now going to be the biggest presser of the year as he addresses that. Mike Tomlin had been notably holding his tongue all season long. He hadn't come at Matt Canada, and he hadn't come at Kenny Pickett. He had come out about the defense. He'd come about the rookies. He'd come out about Presley Harvin. He'd come at everybody, but he had not come at either his coordinator or his quarterback. And we talked about what was he hiding whenever we were asking about the team meetings that the players were doing and that what they were doing and what they were getting there. And clearly he was trying to keep this from boiling over. And that is exactly what has now happened. Matt Canada has been fired from the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is huge news. In my time covering the Steelers, in my time watching the Steelers, I can't remember the last time that an offensive coordinator was fired. A coordinator was fired mid-season. It goes against the principles that a lot of people have said for years, that the Rooneys don't fire people mid-season because they don't want to pay somebody to not work, because coaches' contracts are guaranteed. And this now moves the Steelers out of the Matt Canada era, and now we'll see who actually becomes the new offensive coordinator as time develops. But several things are clear. While plays gave the Steelers chances to win, players did not know how to execute in certain moments. I've been saying this for months now. The problem ain't been the play calls. It's been the execution and trying to get the players to understand what they're supposed to do. So many times last year, and you can go to my Twitter account, which is, by the way, locked right now, and I'll get to that in a minute, but I've posted play after play where open players, including open players for touchdowns, were there for the Steelers to win the game against the Browns, and Kenny Pickett not seeing them, not knowing what to do in those situations. That goes back to teaching and execution, and maybe Kenny Pickett isn't the guy. Maybe he won't figure it out. But it's clear that he wasn't receiving the proper the proper teaching and coaching to help fight through it, because again, he wasn't even doing the basic parts of his job. And I do wonder still what this means for the future of Kenny Pickett, because now you're switching offensive coordinators in the middle of the season. Most likely the playbook won't change that much, but it will have to be someone else who works with him closely throughout the week. And that's going to be interesting, because Mike Sullivan's been his quarterback coach, and I think he's equally as culpable as Matt Canada. We've talked about how the running backs in the offensive line have had to engineer their own meetings to get things going on the offense. That doesn't bode well for Pat Meyer and Eddie Faulkner. And Pat Meyer is one thing. Eddie Faulkner, I have a lot of respect for as a running backs coach for his years of work with the Steelers and what he's been able to do. I think he's actually doing a really good job with Jaylen Warren. I think you're seeing him getting results out of guys like that. And he told me how they wanted Jaylen Warren from the start. But anyways, I digress. Who becomes the play caller for the Pittsburgh Steelers? That's going to be a big question moving forward. And what does Mike Tomlin have to do in this? Mike Tomlin's never faced something like this before. This is brand new, uncharted territory that we're covering. And heck, this is brand new, uncharted territory for me as a person that's just followed the Steelers my entire life. This is a huge move, and it's a sign that the Steelers are willing to make the big moves moving forward to try to get things going. Now, we look back at this game and we point to what things must change if the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to fix things on offense before they get a whole new offensive coordinator and change the system. We talked about some of those things with Alan Saunders on our Tuesday episode, where we had the grades that came out and the performances that needed to be. We went over a few of those things and some of the things that could have been different as far as the play calling, as far as when to call certain plays to feed certain things. And I do think there needs to be an emphasis that leans on the Steelers' run game in stronger ways. And maybe that's the ticket as far as what the Steelers are going to do moving forward. It's going to be more about emphasizing that run game and focusing and trying to help Kenny Pickett, but in a way that gets that run game going. We'll talk more about that in a minute here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter. Stick with us. We still have a lot to discuss. Back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast, I'm your host, Chris Carter. This is our emergency episode going up after Matt Canada has been fired from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Offensive coordinator for the Steelers is gone. And now we get to where I think that there's going to be the necessary change. If you go back to what Alan and I were talking about, the Steelers only running the ball 21 times with their running backs in the game, where their running backs had over 160 plus yards. Collectively, the team had over 170 yards rushing against one of the best rushing defenses in the NFL. And they did not run the ball nearly enough, especially late in the game when the nitty got gritty and the Steelers took to the air. And granted, they took to the air with some passes that should have been completed in the first place. There was wide open Diontae Johnson and George Pickens on the first play. There was wide open Pat Freiermuth and Jaylen Warren on the second play. And then the third play, there was a lot of things that just went wrong for Kenny Pickett. But at the end of the day, this Steelers team right now, if they're going to win, it's going to be clear that the run game has to be what takes over. And they've tried, and it's clear Mike Tomlin has been trying to find ways to get Matt Canada to have a better impact on the game. They brought him down to the sidelines, and for 2 straight games, it worked. They were scoring on their opening drives. They were moving the ball. They were pushing it downfield. But what this clearly tells me is that the impatience for what's going on has boiled over to a head. We heard Diontae Johnson not being happy on the sideline with what's going on. You could see Kenny Pickett frustrated, not even making eye contact with Matt Canada as he was trying to talk to him in the fourth quarter as they were trying to figure out what they were going to do on offense. The confidence had been broken there. And that, again, goes back to, I think that the Steelers, they're realizing what they're trying to do. They can barely operate screen passes. Even when screen passes are the right call at the right time, they're messing them up because they're not able to get the fundamentals down. And I think that does come back to a lack of teaching how to execute in those moments. And that's where I think Matt Canada is the biggest problem here. And I think that, again, if you're talking about a guy that needs to emphasize the run game, it makes me wonder if whoever takes over the Steelers offense, whether it be Eddie Faulkner or Pat Meyer or Mike Sullivan, they're probably going to be told to, hey, run the football, as Alan Saunders was talking about. Yeah, you gotta run the football, and that was the one thing that the Steelers did have working in this game against the Browns. And frankly, if they got it working against the Browns, you look throughout the Steelers' schedule, there's not another team out there that I think can stop the run the way the Browns can with the personnel that they have up front and with the schemes that they run up front. So if they could run it on them for 170 yards, that might be the ticket the Steelers need to push through for the rest of the season. And if Matt Canada is trying to still maintain that balance and not call enough run plays that get them certain wins in certain situations, that has to change. But the bottom line is, if the players have lost confidence, which is clear they have, and they lost patience, something has to change. And now something has. But now the next question is, will the players be able to follow it up with a strong response this week? They have an opponent in the Cincinnati Bengals. The defense has not been good this year there for the Bengals. The offense, of course, is now hampered without Joe Burrow. So this will be a chance on the road for the Steelers offense to reset some things, to say, hey, let's just do what we want to do. Let's listen to the players. Let's build around what they think this offense should be about and move forward from there. And if something can build from there, maybe something can catch fire. Maybe the run game gets more and more exposure, and that allows the passing game to settle down and maybe makes life easier for Kenny Pickett while he tries to figure things out. But the bottom line to me is that the Steelers needed some sort of spark or some sort of change because nothing was happening on offense. And it's clear Mike Tomlin made the call, made the decision here to put out this announcement. Now, again, there will be a Tuesday press conference. There will be a lot of questions there. I'm kind of in a pickle because I have to cover for my partner Noah Hiles at Pitt Football, and that's going to be – and they talk right when Mike Tomlin talks, so I'm trying to see what I'm going to be able to do. this has been that's going to be tough. But what's really tough, and I could use all of your help with right now, is that last night, right around the time I was recording with Alan Saunders, I got locked out of my Twitter account because it said someone was trying to log in, except I have two-factor authentication. No one was trying to log in. I get notified if someone tries to hack me or tries to steal my stuff because it sends me a text message. I get notified whenever I try to log in. No one tried to log in. Twitter thought someone was trying to log in, so they locked me out of my account. And then when I appealed that locking out of my account, they said it'll be a 3-day process. So I can't access the biggest social media platform when it comes to reporting news right now, and it's driving me insane. On top of that, I have to find out a way for the Steel to be able to talk about this and see if I can get into the Mike Tomlin press conference when I'm supposed to be doing Pitt football things. We'll see about that because that's a whole other balance of duties. But bottom line is that this is huge breaking news for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we still have a lot to see who's going to replace the play calling, who's going to address the issues, who's going to, what's the new emphasis of the offense? Can Kenny Pickett be fixed? All those things we will look at more here on the Locked On Podcast Network and the Locked On Steelers podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in to this emergency episode, whether you found this on your favorite podcasting app or on YouTube. We will have our Wednesday episode specializing in this. We will try to get more answers, see what the heck is going on, and break everything down here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Again, I'm Chris Carter. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Carter Critiques. If you see that your boy isn't posted on Twitter or X, whatever, that you now know why. I've been locked out of my account. I've been trying to figure it out for like 8 hours now. It's driving me insane. But we'll get to it. Hopefully we'll get that back soon. If anything else, you can follow me right here on my podcasting network, whether it's on your favorite podcasting app or on YouTube. I'll be back with more as we get to learn more of this story. Stick with us here on the Locked On Steelers podcast.